guys, what the fuck did we just watch? Like, I'm sorry, but, like, Movsar Evloev should not have won this fight. Leroy Murphy got robbed in his home country, which is crazy to say. But Movsar Evloev, despite getting a point taken, and despite losing the first 2 rounds of the fight, 2 of the judges scored 4 rounds to 1 for Movsar Evloev. I'm at a loss for words at this point, because there's no way you could score this fight for Movsar Evloev without having some sort of internal bias for him. And keep in mind, I picked Movsar Evloev to win this fight. I thought that Movsar Evloev, he was going to just out-wrestle Leroy Murphy, which was true, but he did not do that until the 3rd round. The first 2 rounds, Leroy Murphy was outlanding Movsar Evloev and just picking at him with the better shots. And Evloev, sure, you could say, oh, he occasionally landed, but not really, though. Like, I swear, I thought that Leroy Murphy clearly won the first 2. Like, it just feels like the only people that are saying that Leroy Murphy did not win this fight are either the people who just love Movsar Evloev to death because, they're from the same region of the world as him, or you're just contrarians like Kenny Okoye and MMA Joey. But overall, though, I will say that this did not impress me whatsoever. Like, Movsar Evloev fans, like, let me ask you guys this. Like, even if you thought Evloev should have won this fight, like, realistically, do you think he beats Volkanovski after watching this? No. Volkanovski will destroy Movsar Evloev. I'm sorry, that after watching this fight, that is the conclusion I'm coming to, because I have zero confidence for Movsar Evloev if he fights Volkanovski. And the people who are saying that Ilia Topuria was ducking Movsar Evloev, what now? Alright, because watching this fight basically confirmed to us that if Movsar Evloev were to have fought Ilia Topuria would have done unspeakable things to Movsar Evloev's chin. Like, there's a night and day difference between Movsar Evloev and Ilia Topuria. And this is what I ultimately want to say. Alright? Movsar Evloev, he shouldn't have won this fight. At best, it was a draw for him because of the point deduction. Even if you thought he won this fight, this should not really convince you that he's going to be this title challenger that's going to hold the belt for years. Like, Evloev, he's good, but he's not elite of the elite like the Evloev fans claim him to be online. And I like, how do you give him a title shot off of this? Like, I'm sorry, how do you give Movsar Evloev off a title shot off a robbery win? Like, I don't know how you do that, but knowing the UFC, they might do that because they already did that for Cyril Gane. But either way, though, I'm going to say that neither fighter really impressed me. Leroy Murphy in the early parts of the fight was just moving in and out of range, like just picking his shots. Evloev was looking pretty plotty at times. By round 3, that's when Evloev started shooting takedowns. Like, I have a theory about that. Like, I think the UFC was in the back room talking to Evloev before the fight. Like, if you shoot a takedown in the first 2 rounds, then we're not going to give you the title shot. Like, I swear that was a thing. Like, I don't know why Evloev even fought like this. And that's my ultimate problem. Like, had Evloev just taken down Leroy Murphy from the first round, like, there wouldn't be an argument. There really wouldn't be an argument. But because Evloev decided to fight the way he fought tonight, he made it really close. If anything, he should have lost this fight. Like, this game plan was just so fucking retarded from him. Like, he should have deserved to lose this fight off the game plan alone. And unfortunately, though, Movsar Evloev, despite coming in with a shitty game plan, despite getting outstruck for the first 2 rounds, despite getting a point taken off, and at best, he was going to go with a draw in this fight, somehow the judges found a way to score the fight for Movsar Evloev because the judges are biased or they're blind. Maybe even both. I don't know what the case is. But either way, though, Movsar Evloev, he should not have won this fight. And this fight honestly convinced me that Alexander Volkanovski will beat him. And Ilia Topuria especially will destroy Movsar Evloev. over the course of 5 rounds. Moving on to the co-main event, we got Luke Riley versus Michael Aswell Jr. This was a pretty fun scrap, I will say. I don't think Luke Riley's all that good, though. Like, I thought that Luke Riley would chin Michael Aswell Jr. Fair enough. I did expect Aswell Jr. to come out a little bit scrappy as well. He does have a tough chin, but I don't know. Aswell Jr., outside of his chin, he doesn't really have good attributes. And I thought that Luke Riley, although I did say that he's not the greatest featherweight contender we've ever seen, I did think that he was going to be a name to be out on the lookout for eventually. And Michael Aswell Jr. was unfortunately going to be a stepping stone for him. But no, it's just that Luke Riley, like, I don't know. He didn't really do anything special in this fight. He hurt Michael Aswell Jr. with some shots, but that's typically in every single one of Aswell Jr.'s fights. Overall, I will say that I don't know. Both of these guys, it was fun. It was a fun scrap, I will admit that, but I was not really impressed with either one of them. But Luke Riley still got the job done. He did struggle a little bit in the first round. I do remember Aswell Jr. just teeing off on him. But by rounds 2 and 3, I thought that Luke Riley started landing the more damaging shots. He couldn't really find the KO, unfortunately. I did predict him to win via KO, but he still got the job done. He's still young, to be fair. Like, I do think that he's still very young. So, hopefully he makes massive improvements in his UFC career. But overall, though, this wasn't the statement-making performance that I thought that Luke Riley was going to have against Michael Aswell Jr. But overall, he won the fight. So, good job to him. Yeah, this fight was an abomination to watch. Like, I understand that from a technical level, you could say that this fight was like, oh, it was a masterpiece. But realistically, like, can we get some action? Like, it wasn't even like, oh, clinching against the fence type. Like, Michael Venom Page, even on the feet, he just stands at range, just kind of darting in and out, not throwing anything. Occasionally he'll throw. Occasionally he'll throw, like, a 1-2 down the pipe. But how do you throw 33 strikes in the 3-round fight where Sam Patterson, like, he didn't even get wobbled in this fight. He just got outstruck, but it felt like a sparring match here. That was such a disappointing performance, and I think we gotta start criticizing Michael Venom Page for this, because this has been, 3 times now? He did this in the Sharon Magomedov fight, he did this in the Jared Cannonier fight, and now he did it against Sam Patterson. But this was arguably the worst one. So, I feel like at this point, Michael Venom Page cannot save himself from the criticism. He is boring as fuck to watch. Like, he is so boring to watch. Like, I understand that he makes people freeze up on the feet, and fair enough, like, they should be able to try to find a way to counter him. But at the same time, though, if you let Michael Venom Page dictate the fight, he's not gonna do anything. Like, he just sits there staring at you and then throwing a 1-2 down the pipe every minute or so. That's typically how Michael Venom Page fights in the UFC. And that's happened 3 times so far over the course of his UFC career. So at this point, I'm done with Michael Venom Page. I don't care if he gets cut. I really do think that the UFC might cut him after this, because that was such a disgraceful performance. I don't know what to say about that fight. Like, nothing impressed me. I know that MVP won, but, like, what do you even do with that fight? And, like, Sam Patterson, it's like, yeah, you can blame him because he couldn't really find his range, but, like, realistically, what was he supposed to do? He's not exactly an elite level grappler, and on the feet, he was just so much slower than MVP. MVP had the ability to dictate the fight for the first 2 rounds. He was clearly the much faster and more technical striker, yet he chose to just sit at range and not do anything. Like, that's why I'm frustrated with MVP. And honestly, at this point, I hope the UFC cuts him, because he's done this so many times that it's just kind of expected of him at this point. And I don't find MVP to be an entertaining fighter in the year of 2026. Oh my gosh, finally we get to a good fight. Ewell Barenewski versus Austen Lane. I mean, what's there to say? Ewell Barenewski slimed out Austen Lane in 28 seconds. Rip Austen Lane. He's probably going to get cut after this. But as for Ewell Barenewski, Does this really convince me that he's going to go on a generational run in the light heavyweight division? Not really, because everybody's shinned Austen Lane, but he did do it pretty impressively. Like, 28 seconds is actually really fast, no matter how bad the opponent is. So I do think that there are good things for Barenewski moving forward. I do need to see him fight someone who's not complete dog shit, like Austen Lane and Aslan. But overall, I'm so far impressed with what Barenewski brings to the table. He's supposed to be a judoka, but he's got nuclear power in his hands, and he hasn't really shown his extensive judo as of yet. So hopefully he gets a matchup where he can showcase his judo. I'm very interested to see how that plays out. But overall, solid knockout for Barenewski, and I think he's going to be a good prospect to be on the lookout for moving forward in the light heavyweight division. Now, moving on to Roman Dolidze versus Christian Leroy Duncan. CLD just whooped up Roman Dolidze for 3 rounds. I've been saying this for the longest time. Roman Dolidze's dog shit. Honestly, just cut him from the sport at this point. He's not good whatsoever. CLD, fair enough. Like, he couldn't get the knockout, but I guess Roman Dolidze's got a tough chin. Very Marvin Vettori-esque. Honestly, the UFC, they should just make Roman Dolidze versus Marvin Vettori 3. And the loser gets cut from the roster. But overall, though, this fight went about as I expected. Nothing special happened. I did think that CLD was going to knock out Roman Dolidze. Just because of how shit Roman Dolidze actually looked over this last couple of fights. But fair enough. He has got a tough chin. CLD just teed off on him on the feet. On the ground, there were some concerns. Like, you shouldn't be getting taken down by Roman Dolidze consistently. But overall, though, I don't think that CLD really struggled in this fight. And he just whooped up on a punching bag for 3 rounds. So yeah, good job to CLD. He's now going to be a ranked contender come this Tuesday in the middleweight division. Now, moving on, we got Kurtis Campbell versus Danny Silva. Sucks for Kurtis Campbell. I thought he was looking good in the first round, but Danny Silva just clipped him in the start of the second and slimed out Kurtis Campbell in the process. Very unfortunate debut. I still think that Kurtis Campbell can look great in the UFC. Like, in the first round, I thought he won. Like, he was out grappling Danny Silva. He was landing a lot of good teeps to the body. And overall, I did think that Kurtis Campbell showed a lot of good things. But eventually, he just got clipped as soon as the second round started. And he just went down from there. Very unfortunate, but I do think that Kurtis Campbell can bounce back. But as for Danny Silva, though, you know, I didn't think he was going to win this fight. I thought he was just going to be a tough out, but he got his first finish in the UFC, I believe. All right, so good job for Danny Silva. He's actually pretty solid. All right, like, I know that I've been saying that he's pretty solid, but, like, I didn't think he was going to beat Kurtis Campbell because I thought that Kurtis Campbell, he was the next coming of Paddy Pimblett, I guess. But yeah, I think that's going to have to... The hype train is going to have to be delayed for a bit. But I was still impressed with what Kurtis Campbell has been able to show so far. It's just that he unfortunately got caught. All right, it happens. It is what it is. But yeah, congrats to Danny Silva for getting the upset win. And overall, that was a great finish from Danny Silva in the second round of this fight. I fucking love Mason Jones. Mason Jones gets it done. I will admit this was very hairy. But that what Mason Jones fight isn't. You know, he got dropped in the first round by Axel Sola. Axel Sola timed a beautiful spinning back fist against him, and that kind of had me concerned. But at that moment, Mason Jones just decides to lock in all of a sudden, and he proceeded to beat the crap out of Axel Sola. That was a super impressive fight. I love Mason Jones, man. I really do. And I think that Mason Jones, although he had a bad start to his UFC career, ever since he's come back, he is putting on banger after banger after banger for us to enjoy. And I really hope that Mason Jones gets rewarded for that. He honestly should be getting Fight of the Night bonus, like guaranteed. I don't care about the rest of the fights, to be honest. But I feel like this was one of the best fights of the year. Like, that's how good of a fight this was. Like, the first round after Axel Sola dropped him, Mason Jones proceeded to just tee off on Axel Sola. And in rounds 2 and 3, he caught Axel Sola multiple times with flush head kicks, knees up the middle, right hands down the pipe. Like, you name it, Mason Jones has probably caught you with it. And I was super impressed with Mason Jones' durability. So I hope to see Mason Jones really make a stamp in his career. I know that he does look a little bit plotty at times, which is my only concern for him. And he does get hit a lot. But I think Mason Jones, his chin is durable. It's made of iron, first of all. Like Marvin Vettori-esque. And second of all, I'm going to say that Mason Jones, I think he should deserve a good jump up in competition against a very well-known name. So hopefully Mason Jones, first off, he should get Fight of the Night bonus. That should be a guarantee. But I hope that he gets a very good matchup moving forward. Because ever since he's come back to the UFC, he's putting on banger after banger after banger for us to enjoy. So I feel like Mason Jones should be rewarded for that. So yeah, Mason Jones versus Axel Sola, one of the best fights you can watch back, and I'm honestly happy to say that I am a proud Mason Jones fan. Now, not a lot of strikes landed in this fight, but this was one of those fights where you can tell this was a high-level fight, because both of these guys were going tit for tat. Nathaniel Wood, though, ultimately got the edge by just landing the better low kicks and just moving out of the right hands of Losene Keita. This was a relatively fun fight. Like, I did enjoy this. And I do think that Losene Keita, although he lost, he did look pretty good. His speed advantage was very apparent, which is typically not the case in a Nathaniel Wood fight. But Nathaniel Wood proved to be the more experienced veteran. He started to pick apart Losene Keita with the jab and the low kicks throughout the course of 3 rounds. And I do think, though, that Losene Keita, the fact that he didn't gas out, I do think that's impressive. But ultimately, though, Nathaniel Wood proved to be the better striker. I think Nathaniel Wood deserves a ranked opponent at this point. Like, tell me that Nathaniel Wood, like, yeah, you could say, oh, he robbed Jose Miguel Delgado. But, like, outside of that fight, he's on a 4-fight win streak. He got robbed in a couple of fights before. And I think overall that Nathaniel Wood, he's beating a lot of these guys. He's beating way too many of these guys in the unranked sections of the featherweight division. So we got to give him a jump up in competition against a ranked opponent. So I would love to see Nathaniel Wood fight a ranked opponent in his next fight. But overall, as for the fight that played out for us tonight, I thought that this was a relatively fun scrap. Right? Not the most entertaining thing ever, but you could tell that they weren't just standing at range doing nothing, like what MVP did to Sam Patterson. And both guys, they were trading shots, and they were really getting into it with a high technical bout, while keeping it a relatively high pace. So I really appreciate Nathaniel Wood and Losene Keita for putting on this type of performance. This was a super disappointing fight from Mario Pinto, because I thought that Mario Pinto was going to be a next upcoming prospect to be out on the lookout for in the heavyweight division. Now, don't get me wrong, he did win the fight, but I thought that it was going to be more dominant from Mario Pinto. Because here's the thing, Mario Pinto, the thing that was fascinating about him was that he came in as a kickboxer, but he brought an extensive grappling game in his back pocket. That's what was really impressive about Mario Pinto. But in this fight, all Mario Pinto tried to do was shoot takedowns and clinch against the fence. Mario Pinto did not really want to initiate on the feet, and it was very apparent throughout this entire fight because, again, not many strikes were landed outside of the clinch. And it was clear that Mario Pinto, he did not really come here to put on an entertaining scrap for us like what he usually does. Alright, so this was a little bit disappointing. I'm not going to give up all hope on him just because of this fight. Like, he did have fun fights in the past, but if this happens again moving forward in his career, I'm going to have to start questioning him because I have a lot of faith in this guy. I really do believe that he's going to be doing great things in the heavyweight division, but I just don't think that he's going to be at the top of the top if he's going to keep making performances like this, because like the UFC, I don't know, they're just going to rob you, first off, if you're going to keep on making performances like this. And second off, like, nothing really impressive happened, and it's against Felipe Franco. That's my main issue. Like, Felipe Franco, he lost to Freddy Vidal via submission. You're telling me that Freddy Vidal on short notice is better than Mario Pinto? If you're using MMA math, that's what you're telling me? That's super disappointing. So yeah, while Mario Pinto did win the fight, this was not an impressive performance by any means, and if this happens again, I might start reevaluating my opinions on Mario Pinto, but I'm not going to jump off the bandwagon just because he had one bad fight. But this was a really bad fight, to be fair. The fact that you couldn't put away Antonio Troccoli in the first round in the year 2026, that's super disappointing. Like, honestly, both of these guys look like complete dog shit. And it's just that Mantas Kondravicius, he has power in his hands, but that's it. His technical ability is nothing special. Like, how are you getting out-techniqued and out-cardioed by Antonio Troccoli, of all people? Like, I do not have any faith in Kondravicius moving forward. Like, here's the thing. He was coming in as an undefeated kickboxer who got knockout after knockout after knockout. And he got a knockout win in the Dana White's Contender Series, which is why I thought that he was going to easily dispatch Antonio Troccoli. But the fact that you couldn't dispatch Antonio Troccoli easily, it's very concerning. Like, who are you fighting in the regional scene? So, like, are people worse than Antonio Troccoli in the regional scene? Like, I thought that Antonio Troccoli was, like, bottom of the barrel. Like, Antonio Troccoli shouldn't even be in the UFC. That's how bad he is. And the fact that you couldn't put him away and arguably make it a tough scrap, it's just not a great look moving forward in your career. He did get the job done, though. Like, he did win the fight, but nothing impressive. Nothing impressive in this fight. And I'm going to be very concerned for Mantas Kondravicius moving forward in his UFC career. If he fights anybody better than Antonio Troccoli, like, unless he's fighting, like, complete bums like Cody Bumditch, I'm just not going to pick Kondravicius to win any fight because, like, he just hasn't shown me anything impressive. But maybe after his debut, he'll look a little bit better, but this was not a great debut, to say the least. We got Brando Pereicic versus Louie Sutherland, where Pereicic just destroyed him in the first round. Not much to really break down. Louie Sutherland is not that good. He just wings overhand rights, expecting to clip someone. But Pereicic, because he has some semblance of technique, he just doesn't get clipped with the right hand. And then proceeds to beat the crap out of Louie Sutherland. And Louie Sutherland, like, I don't know how he was able to get so many wins in the regional scene. Probably because he was on the sauce. But, like, ever since he's come to the UFC, he has looked completely mid in his fights. But, yeah, I don't know how good he is, to be honest. Like, honestly, he might not even be the worst heavyweight on the roster right now. But he's up there because he offered nothing in this fight. Like, he did get a takedown in this fight for like 30 seconds. But outside of that, he just wings overhand rights and just prays that you don't beat him up badly. That's basically how Louie Sutherland approaches every single one of his fights. And it's not a great look for him. And I honestly think that Louie Sutherland will be kicked off the roster after this. But, yeah, as for Brando Pereicic, maybe he's better than we thought. Alright, maybe he's going to be a ranked contender. It is hard to say, though, because it is Louie Sutherland at the end of the day. But fair enough, you fight who you get. And so far, Brando Pereicic, he's been looking very solid. And I think that Brando Pereicic, if he keeps fighting these blobs in the unranked sections of the heavyweight division, I think he's going to do very well. Guys, Shamrock is complete trash. I'm sorry. I thought that Shamrock, although I did say that there's nothing special about him, I at least thought that he was going to beat Abdul Al-Selwady. Because Abdul Al-Selwady, he hasn't won a fight in the UFC. Like, he did fraud check George Hardwick, but, like, George Hardwick is not UFC caliber. But, yeah, Abdul Al-Selwady won the fight pretty convincingly. I thought that he won all 3 rounds. Shamrock, it's not just the fact that he lost. Like, had he gave it his all, but he just came up short, I would not be trashing him. I really wouldn't. But the fact that he just emoted at range and not do anything over the course of 3 rounds, that's what really frustrates me about Shamrock. Shamrock was this hyped up UK prospect from Octagon. He did look solid in his regional fights, but I didn't think he was anything special. But I expected a little bit more from Shamrock. Like, I thought that he would get some takedowns in. I thought that he would be able to initiate some form of grappling in this fight, but he couldn't. He really couldn't. On the feet, he was a complete victim. He just kept getting picked apart on the feet. And on the ground, like, Abdul Al-Selwady was the one initiating the takedowns. It's just that Shamrock was able to do reverse position, get back up to the feet, and make it a scrap. But, like, not really a high-level scrap. Like, Shamrock, he's just awful. Like, I don't know what the MMA guru saw in this guy, but he's clearly not UFC caliber. And I do think that Shamrock, he should be cut from the sport. Like, how'd he come out there and put on a banger fight like Harry Hardwick? Again, fair enough. Like, I wouldn't be shitting on him, but it's just the fact that Shamrock, in the home crowd, he doesn't even do anything. He just like stands there emoting at range. It's just such a frustrating thing to see. And I honestly am super disappointed in Shamrock, which I didn't think that was possible considering how little expectations I had for him. But somehow Shamrock has lowered my expectations for him. And he should be cut from the UFC because at this point, I don't know who he's going to beat on the lightweight roster. Right? Maybe he fights Angel Jubilee. Right, but outside of that, I don't see any winnable matchup for Shamrock in the UFC lightweight division. Last but not least, we got Chanel Dyer versus Ravina Oliveira. Dyer looked pretty impressive out there. She looked like a slick striker, which typically doesn't happen in women's MMA. But she was able to put some combinations in and eventually got herself a round 2 TKO. Very impressive indeed from Chanel Dyer. Then again though, it is Ravina Oliveira, so I don't know how much weight I can put on that, but fair enough, you fight who you get, and so far Chanel Dyer has been looking impressive in her fights, so hopefully she's a prospect to be on the lookout for, because I do think that there's talent, so hopefully she doesn't get smudged in the grappling, or she doesn't get fluke KO'd in the process, but either way though, I am super impressed with what Chanel Dyer has put out for us, even though it's against someone like Ravina Oliveira. Alright, overall, I would say that this card's like a 5 out of 10. Outside of the Mason Jones fight, nothing really stood out to me. Like, this was the embodiment of mid. Like Roman Dolidze, Michael Venom Page, and Movsar Evloev. Like, I thought that a lot of these fights were dull, to say the least. But it wasn't the worst thing ever. There were certainly worse events than this. But other than that, though, if you guys want to see more videos like this, please make sure to like and subscribe so we can monetize this channel. But leave your comments down below how you guys feel about Movsar Evloev versus Leroy Murphy. Do you think Movsar Evloev should have won? Do you think Leroy Murphy got robbed? Leave it all down in the comments down below. But outside of that, though, like and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time for the matchups to make after UFC London. Peace.